All right, let's finish this lab up, and welcome to Earth Science, of course. The Kia trends versus the Loa trends. Now, you wouldn't have to get down the specifics of this by any stretch. This is actually a Regents question that I kind of built the lab around. It didn't go super well for us that year, so I figured let's elaborate a little bit on it. The idea is, and hopefully we're getting down to how the Hawaiian Islands work here. Again, the active hotspot is here. These are sliding away, and therefore getting smaller because they're not getting larger anymore from the hotspot. They're getting beat up every day by wind, waves, rivers, all of that, plant roots, making them smaller and smaller and smaller through weathering and erosion until they're totally gone, like those ones out there on the seamounts. So, what this idea of this Kia trend here is, and you don't have to go back to the Google Earth for this, I'll just show you. It's listed with numbers on the tour. Oh, which went away when we translated over to the browser-based version anyway. Isn't that wonderful? So, East Molokai would be the first one. So, let's just check it out. So, if you follow along the map, here's the idea. That would have been the older, and then as we scroll ourselves down, 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 I measured the distance between all of these and did an average. So this is like the various places that how often the hotspot leads to a volcano, right? With the most recent ones being down here. And then currently active down here in the corner, right? So I measured the distance between all of those. And let's zoom out and say that they happen. So what's the saying is that the hotspot is going to stay stationary, but with this plate moving at those rates that you've already calculated and moving off, if they average to be about 51.2 kilometers apart, where's the next one going to be? So there's that right there. What we'll do is start a measurement right here, change it to kilometers. So let's say somewhere right about there or so will be where the next one forms. So like from the ocean floor, and I think they're already seeing some of this, we would expect new volcanoes to start to build up and get these. Think about how huge these are. Like that volcano, not only is this whole entire island with all kinds of people living in it and all kinds of stuff, but it goes all the way down to the ocean floor and comes up from there. So we'd expect our next vent to appear, if that pattern stays consistent, right about there off of the islands. So all we really got to do for all of that is just say, yeah, right about here or so is where we'll expect the next one on the Kia trend to show up. So there will be new Hawaii, but you and I will not make it for that. Double click SM1 and SM2. This shows you the Hawaiian seamount chain. Knowing what you know about how the Hawaiian Islands form, how do you think this chain formed? Well, it's the same thing. There's nothing new. I'm just going to manually go there, turn these measurements off. But you can see that they've all, because of erosion, they've all really worn down. If you fly in, weigh in on some of these, you can see that some of them still have a tiny bit of little land sticking above, or maybe just some coral reef. But all of these are from that volcano with the same exact process happening. They're called seamounts. So that whole chain right there would have been from this very active hotspot, forming all of those basically lumps on the ocean floor and working their way out. Midway, if you know your World War II history, there's some neat stuff out there. Okay. Why are most of them underwater? That weathering and erosion has beat up whatever would have been an island sometime pre-human history. And again, we got to use geologic time here. We're not thinking like, oh, there was, World War II and then older stuff and then older stuff. This is like all of human history is insignificant compared to how long it takes to build these islands and erode them back down. Double click SM3. This is the same mountain chain, the same seamount chain. But what happened to the direction? Hopefully it zooms out on us here, you can just do that. So look at that over here, it's to the north. So this means way back in Earth's history, this plate would have been migrating more, almost perfectly northward, but then that something happened where maybe it ran into another plate, the geometry of the Earth, because of the way these plates interact, shifted where the direction shifted, so that now it's doing its present course towards the northwest. That'll get you to that one. And that one. So that in the way back would have moving more straight north. So back over the Hawaiian Islands, which ones are bigger and smaller? You don't have to list them all. And if you don't want to go back to Google Earth because you're burnt out on it, I understand. But you can barely see this one. So the main island of Hawaii is the biggest. Then you can just really say all the other ones are smaller because of weathering and erosion. How's that? Shortcut on that one? All right. 6. I would like a decent answer. I helped you with all those other ones. Give me some of your own writing here. This is going to take a couple of seconds. How do these Hawaiian Islands form? You can steal from this if you want to do it like infographic style, or you can give me a couple of sentences here, but include how they form. Maybe use the terms like lithosphere, use hotspot, ocean, volcano, erosion and weathering, to explain why these ones are getting smaller. Give me, like, if you had to explain to somebody, you left this room, you're going to go home and explain to somebody, hey, here's how that Hawaiian Island chain formed. Is this paragraph going to be sufficient to do that? Please make it so. Okay? Like a half an incomplete sentence, and not going to work here. And I know it was a long lab, one long thing to do at the end. I know that can be frustrating, but after that, you've made it. Thanks, folks. Great job on that lab. We'll keep up the fun soon. Take care.